done been across the globe, across the country. When the traffic outside and the door don't blow, just be bucket. Never give us to the jacket. Cause the boy gon' by the bunches. I can never move next month. Could've never did it like
I had to turn it off because if I get too much of it, music in here, they make it blocked in some countries because it's whatever it is. So I'm gonna be I need to talk about something also that I'm kind of being asked to do again. And I've done it before already. I've talked about this before already, but I don't think people really understand the complexity of it, and they don't understand that I'm not making this shit up. I'm trying my best to try to explain it as best I can, and try to make people believe that it's not so sci-fi that it's not true. It is sci-fi-ish, but it's not any different than the rest of the how the animal kingdom works. The wealth class is controlled by a oh man. Wealth class is controlled by parasites, right? From another dimension, right? Higher forms of life, well. We think that we're the top of the food chain. We're not. There are higher beings in a higher dimension that basically feed on us, on our souls. Right? The concept is very much like your heaven and hell, except it doesn't happen when the human being dies, because when the human being dies, he doesn't go to heaven and hell. He gets reincarnated because it's a soul trying to ascend, trying to learn as much as it can from the human experience, so then it gets so much of an expansion of awareness that then it is able to rise up to a higher dimension and fit properly. And the only way you can do that is if you understand every aspect of not dissect it like your scientists do and try to figure out how it works. I'm taking just understanding why it is and why it's happening and believing it. Because the fact of the matter is that when I say this stuff, most people that I say this to don't believe me. They say it's some kind of like fantasy thing I have, or some I'm writing a book or something, a sci-fi book, or I've been watching too many sci-fi comic book fucking movies and stuff. But it's just not the case. This is stuff that's coming through me straight out, and it's very similar to how parasites work in general, right? A parasite is a virus is a parasite. A parasite is anything that will feed off of human, right, or its host, right, and then in a way to feed until it kills it, and then when it kills it, it jumps into another host, right? So in that regard, these parasitic beings from the dimensions, which you would consider it would consider hell in your case, but it's not. It's not a hell, a place where souls go when they die, or human beings go when they die. It's a place where at the end of a civilization, and the reason that the civilization like that is as advanced as you're supposed to be, the reason that it the purpose of the human experience is to allow souls to learn as much as they can and ascend to a higher dimension. That's what your purpose is. And human beings, the bodies of human beings, they're the expression of the soul. It's the reincarnated soul. It's the soul trying to learn one side and the other side, and understanding both sides, and holding no judgment towards either, but understanding both sides. And you can you understand again if you're a murderer, and if you're a rapist or something, and then you get reborn as somebody being raped, as a karmic understanding, you have to understand why the person is raping people or killing people, their upbringing, what they were taught. Human beings are not naturally evil. That is not human nature. Evil is not human nature. Competition and greed and corruption and all shit is not human nature. Human nature is love. You're created by love and nothing else. And that is the thing you have to kind of grab onto as a creative force that then allows you to travel through your each lifetime and learn as much as you can. Now, if you don't learn of what it is to be a murderer and then someone being murdered, right? The person murdering people, right, has to be reborn as someone being murdered to understand that the murdering people is wrong. That's easy, right? But now the person that is being murdered, right, you have hatred for the person that murdered you, and just spit out hatred and not understanding why they ended up murdering you. Now there's a reason behind it. There's always a reason behind it. A human being isn't born a murderer. No matter what you're trying to say with genes and stuff, you're not born a murderer. It's a product of your environment growing up. And unfortunately, we live in a very competitive, very mean, very, very, very corrupt civilization where that child has no choice but to follow suit. Right? And some learn to be good and some learn to be bad. That's the way it is. Now, the karmic aspect of that is that when you're born as somebody that's killing people, right, you have to learn that killing is wrong. And the only way you're going to do that is if you're born as someone being killed and feel that pain. Now, but if you don't understand that, that means that you just hate the person who killed you, and the next time you're going to be born as the person killing again. You go back and forth as being one there. This is why wars are still happening to this day, because people don't understand that killing is wrong. So then, the parasites that control your wealth class, and the reason it's the wealth class is because they control everything. So the parasites are going to fit themselves into somewhere where there's a controlling aspect of an entire civilization, take over that controlling aspect, and then use it for its own good. Its own good is basically having, like I said, your souls. There is no heaven and hell at your death, but when your civilization dies, right, your souls are then three things are happening to them when your civilization dies, right. The reason the civilization dies is because a parasitic entity and dimension was allowed to come into this dimension, right, and challenge you. Right? Your creator put that in the plan, in the I guess the program that is your civilization. Your creator put that there to challenge you to overcome it, to be able to come. Once you overcome money and the concept of something being more valuable than human life, once you overcome that as a civilization, then you get a giant leap forward in your evolutionary process. Right now you're stunted. You're stunted back to when money was still an issue. And money is still to this day, money is the thing. It's actually gotten more powerful than it was because of mass communication. And that means mass communication, mass understanding, and cooperation throughout this world. When there's something like money as being the controlling force, well, then that's going to be corrupted. Money corrupts absolutely. So these parasitic beings, right, they feed on souls. So it's their job to get as many souls trapped in this planet. That's why there's 8 billion of you, right, instead of 1 billion. Trapped as many souls as possible here, not understanding karma, not understanding their ascension process, and not understanding what they need to do when you're here. There's a disconnect. When a soul becomes a human body and materializes as a human aspect, that human aspect is supposed to know somewhat about the soul and understand it, and through its teaching, as from a child to an adult. But instead, it's not. It's taught different religions, different things, and most all of them say heaven or hell type of concept. You have a few that believe in reincarnation, like the Buddhists and the Hindu, but even they are not practicing it the way they should be practicing it, because there's still money in each one of those religions, and it's still corrupting everything about everything basically. So these parasitic beings, what they do is they first introduce money, the concept of money, into civilization as a replacement for the barter system or whatever else you were using, right? And once they introduce money from one person, 2 people, a few scattered people, they introduce money and how to use it to control a mass of people, how to use it to not just as a barter system, but to actually manipulate people into doing what you need them to do, which is not know how to ascend as a soul. Because the more souls are not ascending, new souls come in all the time. But if the older souls don't ascend out, What you have is you have a bottleneck where all of a sudden, instead of 1 billion people, you have 8 billion people on this planet. For the parasites, that's a good thing. For parasites, what they look at, right, is they look at, so what happens is that what's supposed to happen is that once the energy hits this planet that you guys you're not ready for, what happens? You're all supposed to be wiped away because you don't have the necessary knowledge and tools to accept and integrate this new energy into your system. It was supposed to happen in 2012, it didn't. It was supposed to happen in 2025, it didn't. Your creator keeps on postponing it, giving you that chance. But at one point, it cannot do that anymore. And at one point, which is going to come soon, that's what they're telling me, you're not going to be able. So what happens then is that your entire civilization just burns because your bodies, souls, everything just dies. Entire 8 billion souls and bodies just go away. Right? Now, to avoid that, there is a salvation type of a thing that happens. There's 2 ways to avoid it. If the salvation in the sense of you guys dying as a civilization is a handful of you get sent up, get ascended. Then those are people that those are souls that are ready, but they just don't know if they're ready. Okay, and they're kind of stuck here. They get mass ascended, and there's a small minority of that. Then you have the dropping down of the souls that are currently here back down to the pool of creation, which is a pool where souls originate from. How it's developed, I don't know, and I don't care. I'm not I've been told this the information. I don't need to know how it is done, but I know because I know for a fact it's true. Souls are then dropped down to the point, and this is a large body of souls. These souls are not ready for that. If you're mentally not understanding every aspect that you should be understanding, your souls are not smart enough. They're not knowledgeable enough. Their awareness is not expanded enough to be able to float up to a higher dimension, right? Because once they do that, they're gonna just burn. So instead, souls that are not, and this is a large pool of when a civilization dies, get dropped down to the pool of creation, and that is the majority, unfortunately, of your poverty class, because they just have not, they're slaves and they haven't been taught to read, man. Slaves are not taught to read. You know what I mean? And souls are not taught to know how to ascend because they need the souls. Your souls are food for the ones that are here right now, the parasites are here, for their offspring that are just been hatched and are just waiting patiently in another dimension for your souls. Okay? Now, the ones that get dropped in procreation, they're not good food for them. The good food for them, and I'm going to say this, and people are going to take this badly, and I don't know what to say, man. This is what they're telling me. I'm not making any of this shit up. When I'm saying it, it's coming through me right now. I didn't even think about it before I was put the video camera on. All I'm doing is now is sharing it. The food for these offspring, and this is a very it's very much like hell. Because souls that are captured and sent to this other dimension as food, they basically are hanging from this thing. They made me see it visually, hanging from this thing, while these little parasitic beings, it's almost like little like, I don't know, little fish that eat. The little parasitic beings want and slowly pick at the soul. That's the soul hanging at the body. The body's gone. The soul, and that could be what you experience as an eternity. Because they in your time, because even when your soul gets transported into that dimension, you're still living on your time. So in other words, 25,000 years of your time for those souls could be, or 10,000 years, and that's 25,000 years is Mother Earth, and she's a higher dimension. 10,000 years of your life, of your years in this dimension are approximately about 3 to 4 weeks for the parasitic dimension, because they're living at a high dimension. They're vibrating at a high frequency, and they're moving faster, than you are. I think that's how it is. Moving faster, I think it is, because their time span is 10,000 years, So when you 10,000 of your years is 3 weeks of 3 to 4 weeks of their years. So they were just hatched about 10,000 years ago, which is about 3 weeks for you. And now they're getting to the point where they need to feed. Now they have some souls already they're feeding off of, but that's going fast. And the souls that are already there are the ones that were ripped out of the bodies um, um, of the wealth class, and the top tier of the wealth class. And now what you have in there is a parasitic soul living through it. It's still the human body, and the human body still thinks it's a human body, but the soul itself is parasitic, and that's how they see. Arcturians, we come in through the birthing cycle. That's it. They're able to transcend all that and come in through a portal, and then just locate the ones. And this is what your creator did. He allowed them to do that because your creator needs something to challenge you with. Because if you're not challenged to overcome something and become stronger because of it, and this is the one thing that you guys have very difficult. And this is the thing, man. This is why it's in here. It's one of the most difficult things. But that also creates these super souls that then are transported past the dimension I am in, straight up into a higher dimension to help the universe expand, and it's expanding process. So instead of waiting for us to be at that level, and that takes some time for us as well. This planet was supposed to create these super souls, which it didn't. It's tried. You could try to do it, but it can't give you the answer. You have to develop the answer yourself. You can't like when a child's walking, you can't. You can tell the child, show the child how to walk, but it has to know how to do it through its own DNA. It's like a bird doesn't learn how to fly by watching his mom fly. It gets thrown off that branch and then starts flying. So now you have these parasitic souls, right? And then their purpose is to stunt the growth of every soul that comes in by doing something, forcing them to reincarnate back into that same class system. And there is a class system because that is the easiest way for them to do it. Right? That's their purpose. To get to enough souls that would provide the food for them. Now, the food is a fraction of the 7 billion souls. I told you, there's some souls that were going to be, like the wealth class, but most of them are going to be parasitic beings by the end anyway, so if what is considered wealth is going straight back, their souls are already there being fed on. And the human body doesn't even realize it. It doesn't. The parasitic soul does not inform the human body of what it really is. So it won't know until it's then. It's the end. And then the end is the body dying and going back and then living in that dimension, Because these are the parents of these offspring. Yeah? They're doing this. They're providing food for their children. The souls that will provide food for the children. These souls are the souls that have incorporated money into the system because money's the thing. You understand? Money's the thing that has allowed them to take control of the entire civilization. And because of it, right? Because of it, anyone that is attached to that thing that they created and brought to this civilization, right? That thing, right? That thing is the thing that will cause your civilization to die. And anyone that is attached to that thing, money, to the point of creating a middle class existence for yourself where you're not really wealthy, right? But you're not, but you have to be really, going with the money. You have to make money. To be at that middle class, you have to be in that structure, making money, trying to do anything, and always having it in abundance, right? That is food for the offspring. That is the tastiest food for offspring because their love of money, their use of money, their use of it is like I don't know, it's a caviar effect for those offspring. So what the whole purpose of the civilization is really to get the parasites, and what they're doing is they're feeding off every miserable thing that's happening off you. They're feeding the parents. That's how the parents feed. The parents don't feed on the souls anymore. After a certain point, they don't need the souls anymore because they're just feeding on the civilization and their misery. Right? So the misery they impose on your civilization, wars, crime being allowed, money being controlling everything, and money being the cause of every problem, all that is caused by them, and that is how they get your soul stuck here, and then to the point where they push the boundaries, like drilling inside Mother Earth. Keep continuing drilling Mother Earth. It's like she's gonna get pissed off, wake up, and wipe you all off. Or the universe says enough is enough. I'm going to take one of these asteroids, and instead of being a warning shot, it's going to hit that planet, and it's not going to affect Mother Earth. She'll be a little like little mosquito bite for her. But for the rest of the civilization, of the ones that it wants to get rid of, and make sure that it has the proper amount of gas at the impact to explode, and then take out every human being. Those are the things. And just before that happens, you have the ascending deity, which is it's in my case it is Shiva, and it is Shiva. Shiva is the god of destruction, and every civilization has a god of destruction and creation. It is the same thing. I reference it as one thing, Shiva, because it's the expression, Shambhu. That creation process and destruction process, basically the first thing is destruction, because destruction is either dropping the souls down to the pool of creation, right? That's maybe, or ascending the handful that are ready to be ascended. That process is done by Shiva, and that's the creation. That's the destruction and the creation process. Destruction and creation meaning bringing souls up,